This is Our View, the television voice of the proud members of the Washington Federation of State Employees, the people who make Washington work. Rod Palmquist is a Federation staff member who serves the members as its Higher Education Strategic Coordinator. But when he was a student at the University of Washington, it was Rod who joined with other students to bring an end to the use of sweatshop labor to manufacture the clothing items and athletic uniforms of the university. It didn't happen overnight, and like so many important social justice causes, it took patience and skilled leadership. The result was the recent announcement that any clothing manufactured by Nike with the Husky logo or name will be open to inspection by a recognized workers' rights organization. This is a first in the nation, and we can only hope it spreads to other colleges and universities.
Students at U.S. universities began to ask questions about how clothes bearing the names of their institutions, how they were made. At the University of Washington, and they just started asking questions, who is making this UW branded clothing? What kind of working conditions do they face? So as a result of student activism over this issue, which was not a top-down model where students would just simply say, we don't want our clothing made in sweatshops, rather as a result of students actually building alliances with garment workers around the world, a movement arose on U.S. college campuses that demanded that collegiate apparel be made under fair working conditions where workers' rights were respected, and ideally where workers had a voice on the job through independent labor unions. This struggle has taken place for almost 20 years now, and because universities own the right to their names and their trademarks and their logos, they have the power to tell brands that want to make this clothing, brands like Nike, Adidas, Reebok, Under Armour, Fruit of the Loom, if you want to profit off of selling our clothing, you must make sure that this clothing is made under humane working conditions. And we're going to actually spell out exactly what we want to see in terms of the labor rights protections for workers. And the world's premier anti-sweatshop monitor is an organization called the Worker Rights Consortium, or WRC. And the Worker Rights Consortium, or the WRC, was founded back in 2000 by representatives of universities, as well as by students who were in a national organization called United Students Against Sweatshops, which I was a member of. Most recently, at the University of Washington, students discovered that Nike was refusing to allow the Worker Rights Consortium to access one of their factories that made college apparel. Nike sourced from facilities owned by a company called Hansei in Vietnam. The Worker Rights Consortium heard reports from workers after they got off work and would be interviewed with trusted investigators away from the job site, away from their factory, an environment where they felt comfortable to speak, that the working conditions inside Hansei were horrendous. So when the Worker Rights Consortium asked to have access to the factory, Hansei denied their request. And when they contacted Nike to facilitate access to this site, the factory was one of Nike's biggest subcontractors. Nike did not help them gain access to the factory. They claimed that access to the factory was not their right to give, that they had to get it from Hansei, and Hansei's management simply refused. So this kind of set the stage for the battle that took place on university campuses, and United Students Against Sweatshops at the University of Washington said that unless Nike grants access to the Worker Rights Consortium to the factory to confirm whether or not these very serious allegations are true, we don't believe that our university should continue to do business with Nike. And we said that we expected our university administration to sever the UW's contract with Nike unless they granted access. The University of Washington's athletics department is sponsored by Nike in a multi-million-dollar contract worth tens of millions of dollars. The question was much different because this was talking about the university's main athletic sponsor, someone who not only sold clothing at a retail outlet, but Nike also equipped every. And as a result of student pressure combined with a strong alliance of faculty and staff, we presented a united front to the president of the university, Anamari Kause, and she chose to do the right thing and actually tell Nike, if you don't meet these conditions, we're going to cease doing business with you. And she really held a firm line throughout this whole campaign after we built up enough pressure. Ultimately, at the beginning of fall, we were able to negotiate a new contract with Nike that specifically authorizes the Worker Rights Consortium to investigate their facilities all around the world that produce collegiate apparel, which was a major precedent-setting agreement that we believe will set the stage for a national settlement for every other university that has a big sports program, a big licensing program that sells lots of college logoed shirts.
Bill Fletcher is a labor historian and author. He spoke to the Washington State Labor Council Convention and addressed the issue of the political trend of causing fear of immigrants. According to Fletcher, many union members bought into this fear, and it's the right time for labor to stand up and make it clear why this is happening. Simply, it's a campaign to pit one worker group against another with the goal to destroy both.
In 2016, there were many of our members who were prepared to accept the notion that Mexicans bring crime to the United States, but they refused to ask, what about the Russians? If the most feared criminal organization in the United States is the Russian mafia, based in the Russian immigrant population, what about the Russians? There's no walls that have been set up to stop planes flying in, no destroyers that have been ordered to take down any Russian aircraft. And our members knew this because, see, our members aren't stupid. They're making a choice in terms of what to accept. We have members who were prepared to believe that Muslim terrorism by Al-Qaeda and Daesh, or otherwise known as ISIS, represents the main terrorist threat in the United States, when it is documented that the main terrorist threat in the United States since 9/11, in the aftermath of 9/11, has been from white supremacist groups. It is documented. This is not Bill talking. I didn't just have some herb. This is documented. We have members who voted in a certain direction because they believe that immigrants from the global South are the main threat to our economy, but they can't name one immigrant who has closed down an auto plant, a steel mill, a shipyard, or cut public sector funding. And yet they're going to blame immigrants as being the problem of the economy. So organized labor has reached the proverbial moment of truth. Now, it can certainly choose to draw the warm bath water, enter the tub, drink a double of Jack Daniels, cut its wrists, and die comfortably. That's a choice, and it's a choice that some unions are making. Or it can do what is needed to do. It can get off its ass, stop whining, and build on the legacy of movements such as the Industrial Workers of the World, the Japanese-Mexican Labor Union of California, the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, the Food, Tobacco, Agricultural Workers, the Packing House Workers, and many others that each understood that workers need organizations that will fight even when the odds are against them and the situation is grim. Organizations that will fight to unify workers and defy the charlatans among the rich and mighty who painted a section of the working class white so that they could, in the words of the robber baron Jay Gould, buy off one section of the working class to kill the other. We have an opportunity to use this moment and this vehicle to create the phoenix bird that rises from the ashes, a phoenix representing a new labor movement that must be the principal instrument to advance democracy and justice. In addition to neutrality being unacceptable, so too is standing still. Standing still is failure. And as the saying goes, failure is not an option. Thank you very much.
We now move to another convention, the 2017 AFSCME gathering. President Lee Saunders reminded the delegates of their history and the importance of the legacy to our union of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Sisters and brothers, in 1968, 1,300 sanitation workers, members of AFSCME Local 1733 in Memphis, Tennessee, they took a courageous stand, risking everything for dignity and respect on the job. Every day, they faced dangerous and degrading working conditions. They earned poverty wages. They were called boy. They worked in essentially a plantation environment. The city wouldn't recognize their union, and the city would not recognize their humanity. After two of their own were crushed to death in a gruesome accident involving a faulty truck, those sanitation workers were moved to action, and they walked off the job. Imagine that. Imagine African-American municipal employees in the Jim Crow South defying the local power structure by going out on strike. They marched in the streets carrying placards with four simple but powerful words. I am a man. I am a man. I am a man. I Am 2018 isn't just a reflection on the past. It is not just a commemoration. It is important for us to know where we came from in order to understand where we have got to go. But this is not only a commemoration, sisters and brothers, this is a call to action in every one of our communities across the country. A call to action in New York, a call to action in Missouri, a call to action in California, a call to action in Florida, a call to action in Puerto Rico, a call to action across this country.
Union is important because, we're strong in numbers, and that's what we built our foundation on.
By signing the union card, you're becoming a part of a large group, and that large group has power, and that power protects you. It protects families, it protects, everything around us. It gives us the social services we need to make our community a better place.
I'm 100% union because I believe that every worker should earn a living wage.
This has been Our View, brought to you by the proud members of the Washington Federation of State Employees, the people who work for you. We remind you, when you accept the paycheck for your hard work, you don't give up your rights. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next month.